What's going on, guys? Well, it looks like this Canelo versus Golovkin ship continues to sink. And now, and as expected, people are starting to jump off the Titanic. So before I report the recent news, let me go ahead and give you guys a quick summary of what has already taken place. Once again, Canelo Alvarez, he tested positive for a banned PED substance named clenbuterol. He tested positive twice in February. More recently, he's been passing the test, but the damage was already done because now the Nevada State Athletic Commission, not only have they filed a complaint against Canelo, but they suspended him. And they're not going to lift the suspension, or they're not even thinking about lifting the suspension until April 18th after the hearing, which will be unfortunately 2 weeks before their actual scheduled fight, Canelo versus Gennady Golovkin. With HBO pulling the plug on programming promotion for the fight until they find out what happens in this suspension situation, now even more water starts to fill up that Titanic as it starts to sink when it comes to the recent news with Mexico's own president, the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman. Now he's saying the fight has died and it is highly unlikely this fight will not take place on Cinco de Mayo, Canelo versus Golovkin. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and quote exactly what the WBC president had to say. This is what Sulaiman had to say to ESPN Deportes. In my opinion, the fight on May 5th has died. The hearing in Nevada is still pending, and then they moved it to the 18th of April. I do not see how it could be saved for them to fight on May 5th. End quote. Now remember, guys, this is Mexico's own WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, saying this. He's corroborating everything that I've been saying. You know, I never said that I didn't think the fight was going to happen, but everything else he said is congruent when it comes to his concerns about the fight coming to fruition. And I want to go back to the Nevada State Athletic Commission filing a complaint against Canelo for failing this PED test, because I really want to know what that entails when they say they want to file a complaint, or they're going to file a complaint against him. Now, they also said they wanted proof that it was contaminated meat. They want to give him a hearing, Canelo Alvarez. What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to ask him where he got this meat from and when did he consume it when he was out there in Mexico? Does that mean they're going to do a full investigation when it comes to the meat contamination excuse? I don't know, but I'll tell you this. This is not a report. This is just what I've been told. This is just rumored because it's not official. But I've talked to someone who has actually been talking to Canelo's trainer. And according to this man, his trainer says the fight is off. Canelo's not fighting Golovkin on May 5th. They're already looking for another date later on this year to fight someone else. But I don't really know how true that is, because if they don't fight Golovkin May 5th, the reason why they most likely won't fight him is because they may end up getting suspended for 1 to 2 years by Nevada State Athletic Commission, which means he'll be on the shelf for quite some time. So I'll keep following this story. Once again, it's not good for Canelo Alvarez. And in a certain sense, it's not really good for Golovkin either, because now Golovkin, he will most likely have to fight an even tougher opponent. Because the only two logical next moves to make for Golovkin is to either fight his number one mandatory, Jermall Charlo, which I assume that Jermall Charlo would be willing to pull out of a Centino fight to make this fight come to fruition. I believe that could be done, okay? So he could either fight against Jermall Charlo, or he could fight against Danny Jacobs, who has a fight scheduled a week before the Canelo versus Golovkin fight that was supposed to take place May 5th. Now, according to Demetrius Andrade, Canelo Alvarez, he stated that if he's not fighting Canelo, he's not going to fight a southpaw. So that already eliminates Billy Joe